Hey guys, welcome to Pretty Killer Podcast. I am your host, Jordana, and we are back for episode 1 of season 2. I am so excited. My first guest is Ashley from Sledgehammer Horror.
Hello.
Hi, Ash. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I can't wait to talk
I'm.
about Halloween.
I know. I'm so excited. So when I did your show,
Yeah.
I did my favorite horror movie, and I picked Halloween, and Ken was like, "Oh boy."
Yeah, he always gets me going talking to him. He talks it down a little bit, gets me a little angry sometimes.
He does. So that's why I was like, you know what? You and I are going to have a moment to chat
Yes.
about Halloween. So, why don't you tell everyone though about your show?
Okay. So I am the co-host of Sledgehammer Horror. Me and my husband Ken, we do that together. We have a couple different segments that we do on there. He does the my first horror movie, which you've been on, Jordana. That's
Yep.
his thing. And then together we do some lives. We do a segment called "Didn't See That Coming," where we take a movie and we talk about the twist ending and how it affected us. We have a verses that we do where we take an original versus a remake. And yeah, we just have a lot of fun. We love talking horror with anybody
Yeah.
and everybody. Yeah.
Your shows are amazing. Like I just love that you guys have so much and you have so much like energy and just commend you for it because that's
Thank you
amazing to
so
do
much.
all of that. And your lives are so much fun. Like I hopped on the zombie one.
Yes, yeah. We love doing lives with people. It's so much fun. Like it just makes our night.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Thank
So,
you.
uh, so I knew immediately too. So, going back to the Halloween thing that we had to just discuss it because there was times where I've been on like one of the shows or live and I just wanted to pick your brain. Like we'd say
Hmm.
something about Halloween and I would just see us like light up about it and we're like,
Yeah.
"Oh." So, like how so what initially got you into the franchise? Like what was that moment?
So actually it was my dad, God rest his soul. Him and I, we used to watch it. We used to watch all the Halloweens together, but mostly the original one together. And it reminds me of him. He used to dress up like Michael Myers every Halloween,
I
and like
love
we
it.
would go downtown and he would like look. We have like a subway with these huge windows and he would like look in it and do the head tilt and just freak people out,
Yes.
and it was just so much fun. So when I watch it, it's like a comfort thing for me. Like it reminds me of him. Like that was our thing, you know.
Absolutely.
And even like I was a teenager and Halloween Resurrection came out, and like I went and seen that with my friends, and like it reminds me of being a kid.
It totally brings you back because I feel like Michael was the first person that actually scared me.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, because when we were younger, we had like Jason and we had Freddy, but I feel like
Mm.
the focal point was always Michael because he was just so like scary for no reason.
Right. He's just evil for nothing, and he's just gonna terrorize these teenagers for because he's just an evil man.
Yeah, and that's what I loved about the first one was there was no clear explanation and it's just so simple like teens going to school, this guy broke out of the insane asylum and he's stalking them and it's like
Yes.
that could happen and it's totally scary, but I love that your dad did the head tilt because I feel like that's definitive Michael Myers is pulling
Yes.
out the head tilt.
I swear, like he put that mask on and it like just took him over. I swear. And he loved, like, it was all in good fun. Like he would take it off, and show people like, hey, I'm not really gonna kill you, but
Like, I'm the good one.
yeah, like I'm just messing with you, and then people would laugh. But it's so nostalgic for me.
Absolutely, and I love that for you, and I love that you also said you saw Resurrection in the theaters because, H2O was my first Michael
Okay.
experience on the big screen,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you what, like, I was so pumped, but I was terrified to
Mm-hmm.
have him back on, like, and it was kinda cool, though, because think of how long the gap was that we had I mean, like, well, 6, but 2 H2O, we had a little
Right.
bit of time to get him back on the screen, so
Yeah.
that was awesome.
Yeah, that's
So,
amazing.
uh, out of the franchise, who would you pick for, like, your top 3 characters that you either love the most, you know?
Mhm. Okay, so this one's kind of hard, but I think I
Mhm.
narrowed it down. Um, so I have to say Lori, of course. Like she's just, she's if you have Michael, you have to have Lori, I feel like, and
Absolutely.
she's not
Yes.
in all of them. But she's such a badass, and I just, especially in 2018, like I feel like that's like peak Lori. Like she's a
Yes.
badass, she's a survivalist, she's making like these booby traps. Um
Yeah.
and I love her. She's Scream Queen to me.
She's my absolute favorite scream queen, and I loved seeing that side of her in
Yes.
18 because you kind of see the evolution of, like, where it started and then
Mhm.
now that she's, like, hunting him or, like, prepped
Right.
for him.
Right, she's ready for him, yes, and I
Yes.
love that.
Mhm.
And then I have to have Dr. Loomis. I feel like also like even in like, because we all know the franchise goes, it's got its different timelines, but
Yeah.
in every timeline he's still a part of it, even if it's a different character. Like even he's still a part of it. But I do love Donald Pleasant the most
Yes.
as Dr. Loomis. Like he's just so uncanny, and I love how he like scares the little kids, and he's going off the deep end most of the time, and he cracks me up. I love him.
He's completely unhinged in some of them, and
Yes,
discussing it with some people, they're like, "He's batshit crazy." I'm like, "I know, but for, like, the right reasons, because Michael
right.
Myers is, like, insanity."
Yeah. I feel like if you are a psychiatrist, you kind of have to be a little crazy, like that's
Yes.
like I feel like you kind of have to be.
It's the nature of a psychiatrist,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I
Totally.
mean, you're around all these crazy people, right? Like you're going to go insane at one point.
And you know what I also think too with you saying Dr. Loomis is always felt like there was this, like, apparent love-hate, you know what I mean? Because I think he cared about Michael,
Yeah.
and it never, like, got to that point of, like, cheesiness where it's like, I loved him, but I think that he was just so, involved with him being a kid and the
Yeah.
transition, and I think there's a part of me that loves that, like, not protective, but, like, wanting to kind of help Michael or, like,
Mhm.
and then help everyone else, and I
Right.
love that about Dr. Loomis.
Yeah. I shot him 6 times. I just love him.
In 2, he's the best.
Yes. Yes,
I love him in 2.
absolutely.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna have to go with Danielle Harris.
Mhm.
In not in the Rob Zombie one, and when she was a kid in 4 and 5. Like
Yep.
I just think she's such a good kid actor. Like she did such a good job. And I love that timeline too with her
I
in it.
I love that timeline too, and I think that, like, when she's crying and just, like, all of that emotion and imagine being tiny and
Yeah.
little and having to I mean, knowing it's not real, but being
Right.
involved in so many, like, traumatic scenes, like,
Yeah, like
that's a
the
lot.
one where she's going down the chute and they're like really stabbing that knife through.
Yes.
Yeah, like how scary for her, but she nailed it.
Terrifying, and I think she's one of the best children actors that I've seen in horror, like, there's a
Mhm.
couple newer ones, but I think that she always will be, like, this scream mini queen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because look at back then when horror was going around, and we have all these kids, like they're not quite hitting the mark. Like they're just
No,
kids, and like so you kind of you're like, oh, they're just a kid, but she just nails it. Like you feel for her, you feel her emotion, and
totally.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I wish they would have kept her in 6, and I don't like I'm not the type of person that knows, like, every little fact about, what happened in this one and this and this and
Yeah,
this, but I wish that they would have kept her in
yeah,
6.
me too. I know they got a completely different actress, and I think it might have had to do with money,
Yeah,
um, yeah, but I
which
I
isn't
wish she would have came back as an adult, like
yeah.
in that timeline. Yeah.
So then, what is your so we're speaking of timelines, your favorite timeline and your
Mhm.
least favorite timeline?
Okay. So again, this one is so hard because there's a couple different timelines that I love,
Mhm.
including the newest one, but I have to stick with OG to H2O and then Resurrection.
Yes.
That's my favorite. I had to
Mine
go with
too.
that one. It was between that one and then in 4, 5, 6.
Yes.
Yeah. But I just no, there's so many people that crap on Resurrection. Like they hate it because like the Busta Rhymes stuff. And I just think it's so much fun. Like if
It
I'm gonna
is.
it I make everyone watch it every year. Like my family, I make them watch it every Halloween with me.
Me too.
And Ken, he has grown to love it, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's Busta Rhymes, he cracks me up, and just like it. it was before its time, I think. You know, they had like the little what it was, a streaming thing, and yeah.
Yes. I was just gonna say that too. It's so ahead of its time, and I loved, like, when they were sending the message and it was getting through to her. Like, I love I think
Yeah.
Resurrection is a lot better than some other that we have in the franchise,
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah,
know?
absolutely. And there's so many. I have to defend this a lot, I feel like. Nobody likes it.
There's a small group that are,
Mhm.
like, all about Resurrection. I feel like we all need to come together and kind of,
Yeah.
like, unified to be like, "Hey,
This is a
Resurrection."
good movie. Like, you
Yes,
tell me you put this movie on and you're not entertained, you're crazy because it's
and
so entertaining.
you have to let go of, like, the silliness of Lori in the
Yes.
beginning. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, all of that is kind of ridiculous, but in the same sense, it's a horror movie. Like, let's have fun instead of having it be so, "It has to be this, it has to be this."
Absolutely. Yeah. If it entertains you, then why does it matter?
Exactly, and H2O, after watching the whole end of the new trilogy, the David Gordon Green one, I feel
Mhm.
like I have such a newer and, like, bigger love and respect for H2O because H2O is
Mhm.
just amazing. Like, I watched it back
Yeah.
a couple times and I'm like, "Holy shit, this movie is, like, really good."
It's so good, and it's I mean, again, it gets a lot of shit for retconning, but
Mhm.
I don't know. Like the end, you know, how she kills it and then Resurrection retcons it. But
Yeah.
um I just I don't know. I love it so much. I
There's
forgot
a
where
lot
I don't know where I was going with that.
there's a lot of, like, horror movies that don't make sense too, and you gotta look at that aspect of it. It's like we have, Jason, for example,
Right.
like, none of that makes sense, but still it's a really big
Yeah.
horror franchise. How can we not, like, just kind of turn our heads to that?
Hmm. I
But
mean, Jason went to space. Come on. At least Michael never went to space.
you know what, though? It's so sad because I have a feeling he might be going to space, like,
That's
somewhere in the next 10 years.
it's possible.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that, but
I don't either. I gotta see how it's pitched to us because if it's kinda cool, then maybe, but
right.
I don't wanna see Michael for a good couple years
Yeah. Yeah.
at this point, but oh well. So what's your least favorite timeline?
So I have to go with the Rob Zombie timeline.
Yes.
I'm not I don't know. I feel like it didn't add anything to the Halloween franchise at all. Like he just Rob Zombied it up, and I'm not the biggest Rob Zombie fan. Sorry for people that are, but I just it's my least favorite.
This is a very safe space because I don't like Rob Zombie either. I don't like any of his Halloweens. Like, you
Yeah.
get the you get people saying, "Oh, well, at least you get, like, a backstory." I don't
I I
necessarily
don't
feel
I don't feel like Michael needs a backstory. Like, I don't
yes.
feel oh, he's misunderstood because he had a bad childhood and, his stepdad was an ass and no, that's not Michael. Michael was born evil. He kills because he wants to, because he's evil, not because he's misunderstood. I hate that about the Rob Zombie one.
Thank you for saying that because that's exactly how I feel. Like, it's evil. That's what makes it scary is, like, John Carpenter went to, like, this mental facility and just watched this kid,
Mhm.
and, that was, like, his inspiration to do Michael, and it's like people it's serious. Like, people are born,
Yeah.
and it's a real thing, and it's sad to talk about, and it's unfortunate, but that's what makes Halloween scary is that it's actually real and it could happen.
Right. Yes. He has the blackest of eyes, the devil's eye. So I don't know.
That dialogue is my absolute favorite, but
Mhm.
with Rob Zombie too, I tried to rewatch it just to kind of, like, after I watched Ends, I'm like, "Maybe I'll just rewatch some that I
Yeah.
don't care for and see how I feel now," and I got into it, and it was, like, what, 15 minutes in, and his wife's stripping on the pole, I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah,
I don't care."
it's so Rob Zombie, and most of the dialogue, like it's so like trashy and just why? Like why do we need all of that? Like,
I
that's
agree.
not Halloween.
No, and I watched too, like, a story about Rob Zombie when he was making it in the Weinsteins and, like, he had a 3 movie deal,
Mhm.
and he was getting, like, harassed by the Weinsteins, like, "Oh, this movie sucks," and then it started doing good, and they're like, "Oh, this is fucking fantastic," and
Yeah.
he, like, pulled out of the contract and directed 2. He was like, "If I direct 2, will you guys just let me drop this movie?" I didn't know any of that, which
Mhm.
I thought was
Yeah,
kind
what
of
you can totally tell that they gave him all the reins for 2 because,
yes.
1, it's kind of like the first part is like the retelling mostly of OG,
Yep.
and then 2 is he Robbie zombied that Robbie zombied Rob zombied that so much. Like you can definitely tell they're like, okay, you do what you want.
And he totally did, and I
He
think you need to coin that phrase, Robbie Zombie thing.
did.
That's perfect. I totally agree. Like, 2, the only part that I thought was watchable is like a 30-second clip when it's the hospital part and they're playing the Moody Blues and it's like Nights in White Satin. And that kind of
Yeah,
like the music along with the imagery was cool. And that was the
yeah.
only part I liked about that whole entire movie.
Yeah, the dead mom, the white horses. It was such like a music video. It was just
Crap.
yeah.
Total crap. So out of 2, like the whole franchise, you get some amazing kills. So what are your top 3
Okay.
kills?
So I have to go with this one just because it's nostalgic.
Mhm.
It's Michael's first kill. I mean, it might not be the greatest or the goriest, but when he kills his sister and it's like
Ah,
his point of view and he's looking through his little Halloween mask,
mhm.
um, I feel like I have to add that one just because it's his first kill.
I feel like no one ever talks about that too, because when you talk kills in Halloween, you're either going for like the most like memorable in the sense of like, further on or like
Hmm.
a gory one, but no one ever talks about his sister. And that's like the one that started it all.
Yeah, that's where, his first kill, he stabs his sister. She's sitting there brushing her hair. She's naked, and you get his point of view, and he's breathing through the mask. And
Yes.
yeah, and then when he goes downstairs and he's just standing there, and his mom and dad come up and they're just like, Michael, what did you do? Like, he just killed your daughter. And you act like he, ate a chocolate bar he wasn't supposed to or something.
I love that part too, like the dad's voice, and then he's standing with his hands on his
Yeah,
hips, and he's just staring at him. I'm like, I'd be whipping his ass, and I'd
I
be
know.
calling the
I
cops.
would be freaking out. Like, you just killed my daughter. Like, what is happening here?
I know, and I
But
do love that point of view. Like, I love that shot from his mask. Like, I just think that is so perfect to go with the
uh
rest of the movie. John Carpenter is a genius for doing it that
oh,
way.
absolutely. John Carpenter
Totally.
is so good.
I love him.
And then I have the Halloween Resurrection one where she's on top of the stairs. I think it was her name, Jen. Yeah, her
Yeah.
Jen. She's like on top of the stairs, and he jumps out and he cuts her. He like totally decapitates her, and then her head
Yes.
rolls down the stairs. I love
Yes.
that one too.
I feel like Michael
Um,
Myers doesn't, like, chop off a lot of heads.
yeah, I know. So like when you get that, it's like, all right, Michael,
Yeah,
because
like, taking it
this
to
is
another
one
level.
this is one thing that Ken and I argue about is that he doesn't have like creative kills or he's not like gory, but at the same time he does it Michael way. Like yeah, he does a lot of like stabbing through the chest and having his wall art and tilting his head. But
Yeah.
that's Michael's way. He's still getting the job done. So,
Yeah. I don't think you necessarily have to have gore to have it be, intense because think of it like in real life.
mhm.
Oh, this is so morbid to say, but in real life, it's not ever like, like a Jason kill where it's
Right.
like, this happens and then this and this and this, or like an Art the Clown kill. It's like you get stabbed,
You
you get
die.
your throat slit, you get
Yeah.
mounted on the wall, you die.
Yes. Yes, that's what, and I mean, even like now, like in 2018, he did kind of amp up his kills a little bit,
Yeah.
which I mean, I'm still there for the good kills, no matter what if it is. But I like a lot of his wall art that he does, where he just stabs him through the wall and does his little hill tilt, his little head tilt.
Oh, the head tilt is what got me. And you know what? You're right. It is amped up in 18, but I feel like it's very much his style still. Like even the
Oh yeah.
babysitter when he sets her up next to the fish tank,
Hmm.
that's a very Michael move. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
a nod to Bob. So
Yeah.
whatevs.
Abs-
He doesn't have to be gory to be brutal.
right. And then in Halloween 2,
Mhm.
the nurse scene where they're in the hot tub and he like turns up the hot tub and he keeps dumping her in there and every time her face comes out it's more blistered.
Yes.
I love that.
I love that kill too. So epic. I love 2, period. I think that's one of the best out of the franchise, so
Yeah. Yep. I love two as well. I I don't know. Again, I feel like I people always say that it's boring, but I I don't get it. Like it's not I don't think it's boring at all. Like it has good kills in it.
yeah.
It goes directly from the first one.
I feel like 2 okay, so like you just said, you get like a glimpse, it kinda just picks up where it left off on 1.
Yeah.
And then I think that he has some of the most epic stalking, like the most like crazy scenes of the hospital
Mhm.
guard watching the monitor, and then he looks away, and then Michael's like walking past.
Mhm.
I love those shots because those are scary to me. Because imagine if you like looked out or like working at a hospital and you're
Yeah.
looking at the footage and you see this dude in a white mask just like casually booking it by.
Yeah. I would probably poop my pants. Like that that would be
Same.
so scary.
Yeah, I totally agree, and my husband and I, we did Halloween Horror Nights for our honeymoon, and
Yeah.
Halloween 2 was a house, and we got to see
Oh, that's
the
so cool.
face melt in person, and it just like that connection of having it be like a favorite kill, I was like, "Oh."
Right. No, that is so awesome.
Yeah,
I
it
love
was
that.
pretty cool. So kills aside, if you had to drop a movie from the franchise,
Mhm.
just completely scrap it, which one would you pick and why?
I feel like I already answered this a little bit, but it would definitely be Halloween 2, from Rob Zombie.
Same.
Yeah, I just like I already talked about, it's just so Rob Zombie-esque, and I feel like the only saving grace in that was Daniel Harris,
Yeah.
and, Brad Dourif, he's good too,
Yeah.
when he's doing, like, the crying scene when he's really good in that part, but other than that, there's really nothing that stands out.
Yeah, I agree, and that scene was really sad, like, I just saw that on someone's feed, and I watched it, and I was like, "That was really good acting and, like, traumatic," but again,
Yeah.
that's, like, the only thing that you get from that movie.
Yeah, they're really the only 2 saving graces from that movie, I think.
Absolutely, and when I
I don't
was oh,
sorry,
go
what
ahead. No, go ahead.
I don't even like Michael, he looks huge and scary, but I don't like his look, like, it's not Michael.
Didn't he have, like, in that one, like, pieces of his mask?
Yes, it looks so silly. I don't know. I mean,
Why?
he
Why?
I don't know. It's Rob Zombie.
And he was extremely, like, massive, and the part of Michael that's scary is that he is pretty tall, and I
Yeah,
mean, like, he's his presence is scary, but you don't need to make him into, like, a goddamn Sasquatch.
right. Like, anybody would be afraid of a huge man, but, like, Michael, he's I think the thing that makes him scary is, like, he's like a normal man,
Yes.
he's not, I I'm trying to think of where I'm going with this. Like Jason, for example, like
Yes.
he's a deadite or whatever he is, and so he can never be killed. But Michael, he is a man, a scary man.
And that's common, like, there's so many scary men in the world that
Yes.
could be, like take that role of him, like, just simply putting on coveralls and a mask,
Hmm.
and you have Michael Myers, and, like, think of it, that could be anyone at any point in time.
Hmm.
And I think it was
Absolutely.
very poor of Rob Zombie to, like, do a half mask, like, Michael's pretty much iconic because of his mask.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why would
Like
you even I just don't get it.
it doesn't make sense. That's why I would just cut that one out.
True, and when I was thinking of these questions, I was, like, answering for myself, and I was thinking of it, and I'm like, it was hard for me because Ends,
Mhm.
I really just I couldn't get down with that one, and I don't really think it's at the fault of David Gordon Green. I think it was marketing,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Marketing. I mean,
you know?
you thought that you were getting this Lori and Michael showdown, and you barely got any of either of them. And, they completely went with a different character in
Yeah.
this last movie of the trilogy. I mean, they should have probably introduced him earlier, and they probably should have marketed that this is what the movie we were getting. But, for fans that wanted this end all of Michael and Lori, we were disappointed.
And that's you said it perfectly, like, if I would have known that if you would have shown what this movie was gonna be, I probably would have waited to see it at home
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I got decked out. I was so pumped. Like my nerves were like,
Mhm.
I was so excited. I'm like, I hope Lori dies. I hope Michael dies. I hope it's just a very, you know, emotional end
Mhm.
to this. And then we get Corey Cunningham.
I know. Yeah, and Michael imprinting on him, it's like he's never imprinted on anybody before, and now he's
Yeah.
imprinting on this kid, and I don't know, it just I felt like I didn't get the closure that I wanted from this franchise.
That's
It
exactly it. There was nothing. And like, oh, well, you know, and spoiler for anyone that's watching, you know, Michael dies, but I just feel like it's such a cop out way to like
Yeah.
to end it like that with him in a grinder and then Lori's off in wherever she was going with her boyfriend kissing.
Yeah, he's bringing her over vegetables, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. It it just wasn't what I wanted.
Exactly. I completely agree. And then so I wanted to do like a ranking and see where the whole franchise falls for you.
Okay. So you want me to do from like 13 to 1 or
Yeah, let's do the bottom listers and let's go up.
okay. So my number 13 would be Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Yep.
12 would be Rob Zombie's Halloween 2007.
Yes.
Um 11 would be Halloween 3. Okay, so I don't hate Halloween 3.
Right.
I hate Halloween 3 as a Halloween movie. This is
Yes.
another one that I feel like marketing was crap for,
Mhm.
and you thought you were getting another Michael Myers movie and you didn't.
When I watched that when I was younger, I was so pissed off. I'm like, "Where the hell is Michael Myers?"
I know you get him on a TV screen for 2 seconds and that's all you see of him. And when you see Halloween, you think that you're getting Michael Myers.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that would be my number 11.
Yep.
Just because of that. Um,
Yes.
10 is gonna be ends.
Yes.
Um,
Hate it.
no, yeah. 9 is Halloween 6, The
Okay.
Curse of Michael Myers.
Mhm.
8 is going to be Halloween 5. Um, then 7 is Halloween 4.
Yep.
6 is Halloween Kills. 5 is Halloween Resurrection. 4.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there in the middle, but I love it so much.
I never
Um,
hear it, like, in a top 5, so that made me really excited because mostly I hear, like,
like at the end.
Resurrection at the end, and I'm like, "What the hell?"
I know, like why doesn't anybody like this movie?
Love it.
4 is 2018. That is the movie that I waited for a long time for, and I
Yes.
could not wait to go see this in the theater.
I
And
know.
I was not disappointed. Like I loved it so much. Like it got me so amped for
Yep.
the rest of the trilogy. And then when we didn't get Halloween Kills, we had to wait that whole entire next year. I
Yep.
was so bummed about that.
It felt like forever, and then, like, when I watched it how did you feel when you watched it? You enjoyed it, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
yeah, 2018, I loved 2018.
The brutality, like because 18 was I felt like it was very Halloween.
It
Like,
was.
we got that, like, newer version of him, but it was still Michael. It felt that
Yeah.
way to me, and I don't know about you, but that opening when they're at the psych ward and he's screaming with the mask and he's like,
Yes.
"Say something," and then it drops. Our theater went fucking crazy. People were like, "Yes!" And I'm sitting there and I was, like, mildly emotional. I'm like, "Oh my
I
god,
know, I
yes!"
know. It's all these emotions from all, the OG and everything just it just hits you and it's like,
Yep.
like you just wanna cheer yourself.
I
Yes.
know, and so, like, the scene with the kid at the gate after he gets killed, but, like, when Michael was light was coming on,
Mhm.
remember? And he was, like, sitting there, and then he got closer, and he's like, "Oh, you're acting really weird," and then you got that attack, like, I felt that was something that could have been done back in the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely, and even, like, the score, like, it was the same, but it had, like, its own, like, little twist on it, and I loved it. I love how it sounded, like,
Me too.
so good. Yeah.
Yes.
And then, 3 is Halloween 2, Oh wait, did I go out of order? I think so.
Was 18 4?
Yeah, 18 was 4. 3 is Halloween 2. 2 is H2O, and then my number 1 is obviously the OG. It's nostalgic, love it. Like, yeah, it's my favorite.
That's a perfect list. Like, that's exactly how it would be for me too. I love H2O. We tried to watch that the other night and we were just like, blah, 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 and talking about like the franchise as a whole. We didn't even like watch it and we were just
Right.
discussing it. So,
That's awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's one that me and Ken actually agree on. Like, I think that's probably his favorite in the franchise. So I got him there. Like, he likes that one.
It's so funny too because Ken has such an opinion about it. And like, Greg's just like, oh, my husband, he's like, because I'll put on Halloween like
Mhm.
as a comfort movie. And like you said, like
Yeah.
around Halloween, we always do like an all day marathon, but I do like leading up. And
Mhm.
he'll hear the music and he just sits and looks at me and he's like, really?
Like, again, do we
Yeah. And
really
I'm
have
like,
to watch this again?
that's why we have 3 TVs in our house. So you can go
Yeah,
upstairs, you can go downstairs, or
you
you can
don't
sit
have
here
to
with
watch it.
me.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm
Uh,
sure he still stays there. He's like, "Oh, whatever."
he does. And he does that too, like with, I don't know, like the Vanderpump, the Scandival that's been going around on like social media. I don't know
Uh-huh.
if you've heard anything about that, but
Uh-uh.
I have watched that show since like it came on because I'm like such a little housewives. Like I love that's my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, "What the hell's up with this?" And then he'll sit on the couch. So I thought that was that person. Who's that? Like,
He's, like, completely onto it now.
yes,
He's like, if the next time you watch this, if you wanna wait for me, I'll watch it with you."
yes, totally. That's totally my husband.
That's
But so, and I didn't like really send this one, but my question to you is, do you like where do you think the franchise is going to go now that we had the conclusion of David Gordon Green's trilogy? Do you think someone else is going to attempt it? Do you think we're going to get like a TV show? Like, where do you think Halloween's going to end?
I feel like Halloween will never end. I feel like there's always gonna be a market for it. There's always gonna be this new generation. I feel
Yep.
like 2018 totally brought in this new generation. Like I said, Resurrection was the first one I went and seen in the theater.
Yep.
2018 with my son, and that got him into Halloween. So
Totally.
and then there's always going to be this next generation, and you're going to want to bring them in. You're going to want to show them this, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, I like this," and they're going to go back and they're going to watch the franchise. So I
Yeah.
think someone else is going to pick it up, and they might. I don't know necessarily if they will add on to the story or just make their own. I will be cautiously optimistic about it when I do go and see it. We'll see.
Yeah. I know. I'm like waiting for it because all the stuff that's coming out, like all the Disney remakes or all the like the adaptations of like Cinderella
Yes.
and like Winnie the Pooh and all the stuff that we're getting, I'm like, okay, I feel like we're gonna have a break of like attempting to do anything with the franchise, but I know it's gonna happen within like the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like they'll never let that go just because there's such a cult following for it. Like, there's so many Halloween fans out there. And
Totally.
yeah, they can make money off of it for sure.
I think that the smartest move that they would do is to remake a season of The Witch. I think that if someone put a spin on it and like because like you said, it sucks that it's in the category of Halloween, but
Mhm.
as a standalone, it's not a bad movie.
It's not. No, it's entertaining. I enjoy that movie. I did it for a long time. I was
Me
like,
too.
oh, like I hate that movie. That's the worst in the franchise. And I recently rewatched it because I didn't see that coming on it,
Yep.
and I was like, this really isn't as bad as I thought it was. It's just
Yeah.
a bad Halloween movie. Like it should have never been called Halloween. If it was called Season of the Witch, I think maybe more people would have been open to it.
Yeah, totally. Because it was the whole like Carpenter wanting to do like an anthology and he wanted
Yeah.
nothing. He didn't want it to stay consistent. But like for me, it's like, well, you did 1 and 2.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, why did we even juggle 3 into the mix? You should have just left that as Season of the Witch. But there's something telling me that we'll get like a remake or something like a reboot on that one, which I'd be here for. Because when Ends started and it had the same color font as Season of the Witch, I
Yeah.
was like, oh no, they're not. And then they didn't do
Yeah.
anything with it. And I'm like, that's bullshit again.
Right. Like, where are we going, guys? Like, you're
Yeah.
all over the place.
My husband's father or my father-in-law, but his father, we were in the theater and like it was 45 minutes into the movie. Granted, the first scene with the
Yeah,
kid.
I thought is when I seen that first scene, I was like, "Okay, I mean, we're going somewhere. Like, what are we doing here?" And then we got what we got.
Yeah. So after that, like the whole theater gasped and I was like, shit. And then I think, yeah, like 45 minutes into it, he looks over and he's like, are we in the right movie theater? And I'm like, I don't know.
No, we're not,
Yeah.
clearly.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's how when it ended, like, I was just, like, in my seat and I didn't move, like, I was just looking at, the screen,
Yeah.
and Ken looked at me, and I was just like, "I don't wanna talk about it."
Same. It was, I don't know about you, but our theater was like you could hear a mouse fart. It was
Yes.
so quiet. And people were like, and did the same thing. I was so pissed off. And then I went to go get the car to pick everyone up. And these guys were, because I have a Michael Myers sticker on the back of my car. So
Mhm.
they're standing next to the car. They're like, oh, what? Because I get close to it and I'm unlocking it. They're like, oh, what'd you think? And I'm like, I mean, what, what was
I don't
that?
wanna talk about it, yeah, but I'll let you know. I gotta let this simmer for a little while.
I had to. It was horrible. I felt like such a little brat, but I'm like, that was ridiculous.
Yes.
But it's funny talking to like other people about it because, getting their perspective on
Mhm.
it. I enjoy it. Like I'll sit and listen to it, but I hate when people push it down our throats like, "Oh, you just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
You didn't get it." It's like, get like what was there to get?
Right. I mean, I've rewatched it since then. I didn't think I ever would. Like I was
Yeah.
like, I'm never gonna watch this again after, the first time.
Yep.
And I guess I enjoyed it a little more on,
Mhm.
second viewing. And I don't hate it. Like I said, it's not, my least favorite. But again, the marketing was crap
Yeah.
and it just I didn't feel like I got the closure. Like, I feel like I still need that closure, even, now he's dead, but like I don't know. I didn't get the Laurie Michael Myers story that I wanted.
I didn't either. And how did you feel when you watched like the showdown in the kitchen? Like were you kind of like excited at that point when it was potentially like before we knew what happened,
Mhm.
like the actual.
Yeah, I was excited for that. I mean, we're finally getting, that showdown, but it was so short-lived, I feel like.
Yeah, and I hated the flashback. I don't know about you, but, like, when they showed the picture of the girls on the wall or, like, I don't remember if it was just, like, the flashback of them.
Mhm.
I was so annoyed. I'm like, "Why are we focusing on that? Like, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Let's get,
Yeah,
like" I wanted more Lindsay Wallace too because I felt like we didn't even get to see her.
right. No,
Like, what
what was that?
yeah, what was the point of, like, having her live? Because everyone died
Yeah,
in kills that was, like, of,
like an
importance from.
OG. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you leave Laura or Lindsay, and then you don't even have her. You have her in a bartending scene,
Mhm.
and then talking about, like, what was it, boobs or something? Like, what are they
Yeah, it
talking about?
when they're having wine.
Yeah, the wine time, but, like, I wanted more. I would have appreciated, like, more of a Lindsay in the fight because she was there for, like, their initial encounter.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would have been actually pretty cool, like, her just helping her take him down or something, yeah.
Yeah, and even, like, her dying in there, like, I don't know what it is, and then we'll do our final thoughts, but, like, I feel in horror now, they just don't wanna up the ante, and they don't wanna, like,
Yeah,
do something that's gonna be, risk-taking. It's
yeah,
always safe, I feel like. It's like, I don't know.
yeah,
It's
it's
weird.
like, sometimes you just have to kill off that person, and just, like, end it, like, be done, like, I felt like Michael and Laurie were both gonna die, like, I felt like they
Yeah,
were one and the same, like, if Michael dies, Laurie has to die, but I think they were too afraid to kill her off.
same. Yeah, and I wish someone would have had the nerve to do it because
Mhm.
I would have been there for that, but
Because she already said she's done with it, like, she's done with the franchise, like, she will never be a part of, another Halloween movie, so
yeah.
why not kill her off?
Exactly, and she hated, like not well, she didn't care for horror because you heard about the drama with, Danielle Harris and Scout when they went to the premiere and, like, they completely were, like, not turned away, but Jamie Lee Curtis was kinda, like, rude to them.
Yeah. Well, I she acted like she didn't even know who they were, I feel like.
I know, and it's like, I get that you don't like horror, but you kind of I don't know, maybe should know or like had to have known that she was the one that played your I
You're
don't know. But like you said, I just if she was done with the franchise, if she didn't care about horror in general, I would have been like,
right. Yeah. There's no reason to keep her alive. And you just up the ante. You got that wow factor of killing off your lead. So
yeah,
yeah.
I would have been happy with that. But well, I'm glad that we got to discuss Halloween because I've been waiting anxiously
Yeah.
to talk to you about it,
Me
and
too.
I'm glad that you took the time to sit with me on episode 1 of season
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, no, this was awesome. I love this.
Yes,
I
and we'll
I
have to
love talking Halloween with somebody that actually loves Halloween because I
yes.
feel like when I talk Halloween with Ken, it's just me and him arguing. We're going back and forth, like who's better. Usually, it's like
Yes.
he's always like saying, "Well, this person's better," and I'm just like, trying to defend it constantly. So
Yes.
someone actually likes what I have to say.
Yes, I named this episode the Michael Myers Fan Club because we
Right.
are OGs and we band together and we stick together. And I also love that we enjoy the same timelines and characters. So I'm a great
Yeah.
way to start my Friday. So thankful
Yeah.
that you came on.
Yeah. Thanks
Um,
for having me.
of course. And we'll have to have you come back on another time with Ken.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get Greg to come on so we can have like a battle of the couples and we can talk about horror.
Yeah, absolutely. What
And
is he's not into Halloween either, or he like kind of likes it?
he doesn't, like, mind it, but he's more like The Thing,
Mm,
Texas Chainsaw,
okay.
like that type of stuff, but I mean, he's a trooper. He will watch the movies with me. We went and saw John Carpenter play, like, all his stuff live.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he's, like, a fan, but I think I just kind of pushed the envelope too much with Halloween,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, me too.
he
Like
knew what
we
he was
went
signing up for.
yeah, you're like you marry me, you're gonna have to watch Halloween, all throughout the year. And that's,
Yes.
it's just a package deal. Okay?
Yeah, take it or
Take
leave
it or
it.
leave it. But yeah, we went to California actually a couple of years ago, and we went and seen the house there, and it was so awesome. Like,
Oh
yeah, we
my
have pictures out in front of it, and like I like was in awe. And of
Mhm.
course the kids were like, "Can we go? It's so hot." And like they were not having it. And I'm like, "No,
It's my
we're gonna
moment.
the house." Yes.
That's a dream. I would love to go out there, especially like I would love to go around fall Halloween time.
Yes.
That would
Well,
be
it's
amazing.
funny, we went like around the corner was the babysitter's house, and they had a little pumpkin sitting on the porch, and I was like, "That is so awesome."
I love that. I actually got the pumpkin as a tattoo because I just think it's like, I don't know if you
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
and I want to get Halloween two's intro with the pumpkin with the skull in the middle.
Mhm.
I want to get that one because I love that intro. But so funny you say that you had, that house moment. I want to do that. But we went to Halloween Horror Nights and 78 was a house.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they did it was cool because they did it from, the sister's point of view, and, like, they
Okay.
did the whole sister in the beginning, and then you walked into this room, and it just had the opening title card and the music playing, and it just said
Mhm.
John Carpenter's Halloween. I was like, because it's the closest that you're gonna be to, like,
Right.
in the movie, and I was, like, mid-tears, I'm like and then all of a sudden,
Oh.
Michael comes out, and I'm like, "Ah!" and screaming. It was so scary. My sister-in-law, she loves, but she hates Michael Myers, like, she's terrified of him. Like,
Yeah.
Greg, my husband, tortured
Mhm.
her when she was little. He's like, "Well, I mean, that's what you get."
That's
So
that's hilarious. That's like my mom. She freaking is so scared of him.
yes.
And one time my brother put on my dad's mask and like got in the back seat, and
Yeah.
like he laid there and he waited and he waited. And finally she went out. It was dark out, and she went outside and got into the car, and he pops up, and she was like,
Oh,
"Wah!" And like he almost got decked.
I would have killed him. I would have died.
And like my brother's a big, like he's a big boy, like over 6 foot tall. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I would have probably, like, I really would have shit my pants if
Yes.
that happened. Yeah, so, like that's so funny you say that too, because so I hear my sister-in-law, and I'm trying to, like, take it all in. I'm like, you have the fence line, you have Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis dropped the line. Remember when they're standing there and he's like, "Lonnie, get your ass away from there." They
Yes,
play
I
they
love that.
played that over the thing,
Oh,
and I was like,
that that makes me laugh every time I see that. I love that.
and he's so proud after. Remember, he, like, stands there and he's
Yes.
smiling. I was dying. So we got out of the house, and Michael's chasing, like, my sister-in-law out of the house, and we brought my daughter because she loves Halloween. Like, I showed her Halloween,
Mhm.
you know, a little bit back because she's 9, but she's not scared of him. Like, she loves it. She loves the movie, and she loves Michael and Dr.
Yes.
Loomis. I'll hear her dropping, "I shot him 6 times." I'll hear it downstairs. I'm like, "Oh, you did?" But, she gets out of the house and she's just like, "You guys are chickens. That wasn't scary." And we're just staring at her like, "That was
That
pretty intense because it was,
right.
Michael everywhere," and I don't know, it was funny.
That's what she's like, "Oh, this ain't scary at all."
Yeah, the girl's like, "Did you guys" because 'cause we're screaming still. She's like, "Oh, was that a good house?" And my daughter's like, "Eh, they're chickens." But so we'll definitely have you back on at another time. I'm gonna drop all your social links down below. So I'm sure everyone who's listening has already subscribed to you guys because you guys are amazing. But
Oh, thank you.
yes, and I'm very, again, thankful to have you on. So um yeah, we will talk to you soon.
All right.
All righty. Bye guys.
Bye.